Once upon a time in the sleepy town of Willow Creek, a peculiar house stood at the edge of the forest. A house that had seen better days. Its windows were boarded up, as if to keep out more than just the elements. Ivy, like a relentless invader, snaked its way up the crumbling walls, adding to the eerie charm of this forgotten abode. The house wore an expression of desolation, its once vibrant facade now faded and weather-beaten. The dilapidated porch creaked under the weight of time, and the rusted iron gate whined in the wind, a solitary sentinel guarding a desolate kingdom. But it wasn't just the house's appearance that sent a shiver down one's spine. There was an aura of disquiet that seemed to seep from the very stones of the house, a chilling whisper that echoed in the silence of the forest around it. The locals, they had their stories. Hushed whispers passed down from generation to generation, tales of a dark past that clung to the house like a shadow. They spoke of strange occurrences, of lights flickering in the dead of the night, of eerie sounds that pierced the silence, and of figures seen in the gloom, quickly disappearing as if swallowed by the darkness. Parents warned their children, their voices heavy with a fear they themselves had inherited. "Steer clear of the old house," they would say, their eyes glancing nervously at the looming structure at the edge of the forest. Despite the warnings, the house held a strange allure, a magnetic pull that seemed to draw the curious and the brave. The thrill of the unknown, the lure of a mystery waiting to be unraveled, the whispers of a secret history, all these added to the enigma of the abandoned house. The house, abandoned and forlorn, held countless secrets within its crumbling walls. Secrets that were waiting patiently for the brave or the foolhardy to uncover. And as we know, curiosity is a powerful force, one that can drive us to dare the unimaginable, to venture into the unknown, to face our deepest fears. But as our group of teenagers were about to discover, some secrets are better left undisturbed. On a stormy night, a group of teenagers dared to explore this house of whispers and shadows. Their adventure began as a dare, a challenge fueled by the invincible bravado that only youth can muster. The storm had turned the night into a swirling canvas of inky black and flashes of white, a perfect backdrop for their daring escapade. With the rain pelting down and the wind howling like a pack of wolves, they crept towards the house, their hearts pounding in time with the thunder's roar. The house stood at the edge of the forest, an eerie sentinel cloaked in darkness. Its boarded-up windows seemed to stare blankly back at them, hiding secrets within its crumbling walls. The ivy that snaked its way up the stone facade rustled in the gusting wind, whispering tales of the house's dark past. But as they ventured further, the house revealed that it was not as empty as it seemed. With each step deeper into the gloom, an eerie hush fell over them, and then, from the shadows, whispers began to emerge. Soft at first, like the gentle rustling of leaves, the murmurs gradually grew in volume, echoing through the abandoned halls. These whispers weren't the creaking of old wood or the groaning of the wind. They had an uncanny rhythm, a cadence that suggested language, yet no words were discernible. It was as if the house itself was trying to communicate, its voice a spectral symphony of forgotten tales and secrets yearning to be told. The teenagers exchanged uneasy glances, their bravado wavering like the flickering shadows dancing on the decrepit walls. They listened, their hearts pounding in their chests, as the whispers grew louder, resonating with a growing intensity that was impossible to ignore. The darkness seemed to pulse with an energy, an unseen force that sent shivers down their spines. The air grew heavy, thick with a sense of foreboding that clung to them like a shroud. Fear began to seep into their bones, as cold and relentless as the stone beneath their feet. The once bold adventurers found their courage dwindling. Each whisper seemed to coil around them, tightening its grip, threatening to pull them deeper into the abyss. Their laughter and jests were now replaced by silence, their smiles replaced by wide-eyed terror. They were like moths drawn to a flame, lured by the allure of the unknown, yet paralyzed by the growing sense of dread. The whispers seemed to feed on their fear, growing louder, more insistent, their indecipherable chatter filling the cavernous house. As they stood, frozen in the heart of the darkness, the whispers began to take on a more sinister tone. They echoed through the house, bouncing off the cold stone walls, filling the air with an ominous hum. Their bravado waned, replaced by a creeping dread that was as tangible as the cold stone walls. The whispers in the shadows had spoken, and they were left with a chilling realization they were not alone. Suddenly, a door creaked open, revealing a staircase leading down into an abyss of darkness. The stairs, like a gnarled spine, twisted downwards, disappearing into the unknown. Each step was a plunge into obscurity, a descent into a world that dared not see the light of day. At the foot of this daunting staircase, they found themselves in a chamber, dimly lit and teeming with an ominous aura. The walls, aged and weathered, were adorned with symbols that defied understanding. These markings, etched deep into the stone, seemed to pulse with a life of their own, whispering tales of forgotten lore. The flickering candlelight cast an eerie glow, dancing shadows playing tricks on the eye. In the midst of this spectral ballet, a figure emerged, cloaked in darkness. It stood imposingly at the center of the room, a silhouette carved out of the Stygian darkness. Its presence was like a cold wind cutting through the silence, a chilling reminder of the unearthly power that lurked within these walls. The figure's eyes, two gleaming orbs, pierced the gloom with a malevolent intensity. They were the eyes of a predator, unblinking and unyielding, staring back at the intruders with an icy disdain. The sight of this shadowy figure sent a wave of terror through the teenagers, their bravado shriveling under its chilling gaze. Then, the figure spoke, its voice, a low, guttural growl, echoed throughout the chamber. Each word was a thunderous decree, a testament to the figure's intimidating authority. The voice seemed to seep into their bones, its threatening tone sending shivers down their spines, freezing their blood in their veins. The figure offered them a choice, a decision that would seal their fate. It was a cruel ultimatum, a test of courage that would forever mark their lives. The room fell silent, the air thick with anticipation, the echoes of their pounding hearts the only sound breaking the deathly stillness. The choice was theirs, but as they stood there, paralyzed by fear, they understood that some doors, once opened, can never be closed. Torn between terror and curiosity, the teenagers hesitated, their minds racing with uncertainty. The air around them was thick with trepidation. Each breath they took seemed to echo throughout the eerie chamber. The figure cloaked in shadow waited, its gleaming eyes fixed on them, its presence so overwhelming that it was almost tangible. Then without warning, the house began to tremble, its ancient walls groaning under some unseen pressure. The rumbling started as a low murmur, gradually building in intensity until it was a deafening roar that filled the chamber and reverberated in their ears. The teenagers, their hearts pounding in their chests, could only watch in horror as the world around them began to crumble. The ground beneath them shuddered violently, the strange symbols on the walls blurring into a chaotic whirl of colors in the flickering candlelight. The figure in the shadow seemed to grow larger, its form becoming more menacing as the room fell apart around them. The air was filled with dust and debris, the scent of age-old decay and fear hanging heavy. Then, with a final catastrophic roar, the chamber collapsed. The world went dark, the flickering candles extinguished, their last vestiges of light swallowed by the absolute blackness. The ground gave way beneath their feet, the solid stone floor crumbling into nothingness. The deafening noise was suddenly replaced by an oppressive silence. The shaking ceased as quickly as it had started, leaving behind only the echo of the chaos that had ensued. The once dimly lit chamber was now nothing more than a void of darkness, the teenagers and the figure cloaked in shadow swallowed by the abyss. And as quickly as it had begun, the storm outside subsided, leaving nothing behind but silence and the echo of their vanished footsteps. The house stood once again at the edge of the forest, its windows boarded up, its walls covered in ivy, as if the teenagers had never dared to cross its threshold, as if the house had always been empty. A chilling reminder of the night's terrifying ordeal, and a testament to the dark past of the peculiar house in the sleepy town of Willow Creek.